If people are dieting now more than ever before, then why are nearly 1 in 3 American adults overweight? Dr. Gundry, who's helped thousands lose weight and feel younger and healthier than ever, says most people are not getting enough fat-burning MCTs from their food. MCTs are a special kind of compound that instead of turning into fat when you consume it, turns into ketones, which is a chemical that breaks down the excess fat in your body. So, by getting more MCTs in your diet, you essentially flip a switch that puts your body in caloric bypass mode, which can flush out excess fat and calories. And he's created an easy way for you to activate caloric bypass right at home. It's called MCT Wellness. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. I love how incredible it tastes. All you do is add a scoop to water, enjoy, and watch as you start feeling slimmer and more energized. So, if you want to experience a quick, easy, and effective way to melt pounds fast, go to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
The 3 Down Greencast is brought to you by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, Regina's only downtown brewery.
Once again from the Back Deck Recording Studio, where, unlike the last time I had Pat Mackay over to my house, my lawn is actually mowed. Yeah, it was funny. I was sitting here this afternoon, a little hungover from a party I was at last night. Very hungover, actually. And I thought to myself, I gotta get off my butt and do something.
So you did this today?
I did this today. I actually did this about an hour and a half ago, knowing that you're coming over, that I nicely mowed my lawn just for you, Pat.
Well, you don't have to put on the it's just for me.
Well, I just like and respect you that much.
I know who you really are.
That's fair. You and I have known each other a while. This is the 3 Down Nation Greencast. Again, Joel Gasson, the brains and charm behind this operation, is still in Ireland on his honeymoon, where today he had scotch for breakfast.
Good for him.
He had an orange slice in there, though, so I'm sure that's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the Jameson tour. So again, joined by CTV Saskatoon's Pat Mackay, who, after winning the Best Hair in Saskatoon Sports Media award 3 times over, is now going for the Best Mustache in Saskatoon Sports Media, looking to win his first title of that.
I don't think I'm going to win it, to be honest with you. But
is there anybody out there with a duster anymore in Saskatoon Sports Media?
I can't think of anyone, honestly. I might be the only one if you actually call this a mustache. I'm having trouble with the gap.
Right.
Right under the bridge of the nose, the gap in the middle.
Oh, I just noticed that. Now I'm going to stare at it the whole night.
Hang on a second. Let me bush it up.
That's yeah.
Like a mustache comb over.
You know, in fairness, a good friend of mine, who I won't out him on this podcast, he'd have some of his mustache would come in blonde, so he would just for men his mustache to make it appear fuller.
I do that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because I don't know if you can see, if you look real close.
Okay, we're getting real close.
Some of it comes in blonde.
Oh, a lot of it does come in blonde.
Some of it does. I would say like 75% is like a dark brown, like the same color as my hair. A lot of it comes in blonde, though. And some people say it's cheating. I don't think it's cheating, because, like, I grew the hair. It's not like I'm putting hair on it.
Right.
It's darkening that shit up a bit.
That's right. And you are, and it does, I never would have known. I thought I was going to give you some big mustache pro tip here, but instead, I've just been exposed. And like, how hard is it to find, like, because it matches with your hair. How hard is it to find the Just for Men that matches mustache face to hair head?
It's not hard. They got a lot. They got a lot of options out there.
That's fair. Speaking of a lot of options, we do have a lot of options for beers. I did stock up my fridge, so as per tradition on this podcast, beer this week provided by me.
In cans.
In cans, that's right. A little bit less.
You can't clink them together.
No. They just make that flat
it's not
sound.
as
It's
satisfying.
no, that's disappointing. But going with some fairly basic stuff this week, as it was all on sale at Sobeys Liquor Store.
Well, there it is.
Can't go wrong with that. Going with an 016 Great Western Brewing right here in Saskatoon, right beside the curling club in the city that has the best wonton soup that you may ever taste.
Granite.
The Granite. Legendary. And meanwhile, Pat, you're having flashbacks to your high school partying days right now.
Yeah, well, no, like just after high school, after I turned 18 in Alberta, because that's what the legal drinking age
Right,
is.
because you never tasted the booze before then, right?
No, not really. Yeah, Molson Canadian. I don't know when the last time I had one of these was, but the first sip I took was like, oh my. Like it's in the same vein as a Pilsner. It's in, that kind of, not bitter, but just it's got a little bit of a bite to it.
Yeah.
It's not like an easy drinking beer. It's
No.
like a beer. It's a beer.
It is one that we all probably had one too many of back in our younger
Oh,
days.
yeah.
But
Do you remember Cold Shots?
yes, I do remember Molson Cold Shots.
Yeah,
I remember
those were,
loading those in my golf bag and getting a little bit too out of hand at the Atikokan Golf and Curling Center, pardon me, once or
I used
twice.
to think I was such a badass for drinking those cold shots because I'd be like, well, look, they're a little stronger. And someone pointed out, like, look at how small the can is. Though. Like, it evens out. And I was like, no, it doesn't. It's strong. Get out of here.
One day I'm going to have a great mustache and better hair.
I
And
think I even said that too, yeah. My hair's actually gone downhill over the years. I don't know if,
it is still significantly better than mine, though.
well,
Like again, I am honestly about maybe a year or two away from going full Tim McAuliffe.
no, I would keep it.
No. Here, let me lean down.
No, I can see it. I would keep it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
I always told my wife that if I ever went bald, like, and you just had the ring around
Yep.
the sides, I would keep it. Like, you look like a total dad. Who are you trying to impress,
customers.
They'll be impressed by the balls you have just to wear that hair around
That's
the
true.
sides.
To have the Jason Alexander, but I still, I like my wife to think I'm attractive once in a while. Since we first met, I've grown a dad bod and back hair and have rapidly been losing my hair, so...
It's all about attitude. you
Right.
know? When I was about 18, 19, I had a mullet.
Oh,
But
yes!
I didn't care.
No.
I just rocked it. People, well, they said they liked it. I'm not sure if they actually did. But the point is, they said they liked it.
Right.
It's all about attitude, man.
Right.
Confidence.
Speaking of attitude and confidence, I'm surprised you're still feeling full of attitude and confidence as some sort of plane flies overhead the back deck recording studio. This is live podcasting at its finest. Wow, that's significantly loud. Anyways, confidence, a little bit of attitude, that's what you have with your CFL predictions, which so far for both of us, not going so well. I don't think we saw an 0-2 start for the Riders, and you had another hot take that has made you very popular back in my home province, from what I understand. I've seen your mentions blow up a little bit.
See, I don't... were people this upset when nobody got anything right about the NHL playoffs?
No, nobody was. But I don't think anybody really gave a damn about the NHL playoffs this
granted,
year.
This is slightly different. I'm not trying to wiggle my way out of any situation. You know what? I said Ottawa would be bad.
Yes.
I said they would be terrible.
Yes.
And I will say that I was not alone in that prediction. I think most people outside of Ottawa, or our nation, as they call themselves, I think that most people thought they were going to be bad. And, well, we all kind of have a little bit of egg on our face at this point in the season. But did anyone really think Dominique Davis was going to come out, throw 4 picks, and still beat Calgary?
No.
Was going to come out and throw... Hang on a sec. I have the stats here for the game.
Ooh, I like this.
last
You got an
week.
iPad here.
I'm
You have an
prepared.
iPad and I have 2 beers.
30 for 39, 354 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air. Did anyone really think he was going to do that?
No, I watched him on and off for a couple of seasons in Winnipeg, and every time he'd come in as the backup to Matt Nichols or the third stringer, I never once thought that, you could tell he was athletic. You could tell the guy could throw a ball.
Like he was in Atlanta. He was backing up Matt Ryan a little bit. I forget what college he played for, but like he started a few times.
Yeah.
He's seen live bullets at a high caliber of football.
Yeah.
But coming in as a 29-year-old starting quarterback, I mean, that's generally not a recipe for success when in the past, when you've, in limited reps, you haven't performed well. Yeah. So just like wearing the bald look, hair around the sides, it's all about attitude and all about confidence. And man, Dominique Davis, he's made a lot of prognosticators look pretty bad so far outside of Ottawa.
Including both of us sitting here on the back deck.
Including me, yeah. Red Blacks fans, you guys are creative.
Yeah. You know what? I will give... and I saw that... I encountered them more on Twitter when I was working with Travis Kerr and Two and Out. But they're... And you know what? They have some creative beaks. And I'm the kind of guy that... And I've always said this. If you're going to make a joke at my expense, if you're going to call me out for something... just make it funny and I'll respect the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah. No, I've liked, I'd say, 90% of the chirps that I've got my mentions from Red Blacks fans because it's kind of funny. Some of them I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna respond to you because I don't really like your attitude. But you know what? It's all in good fun. I get it. I've been wrong so far. By the way, 2 wins does not a season make, as Kevin Mitchell from the Star Phoenix here in Saskatoon would say.
Yes.
That does not make a season. You'd think they won the Grey Cup by the way they're acting. But they are 2-0, and they've looked really good doing... Well, for the most part, looked really good doing it. But one thing that I should say...
Yes.
Anytime that you see a broadcaster or a journalist or a writer or someone on the radio, anyone, make a prediction and you don't like them and you hate them and you think they're stupid, take a step back. Because I'm about to blow your mind.
Oh, okay.
I would say 99% of the people in the broadcasting, journalism, writing industry are awesome people. And this is why.
Yes.
Because to be in that position, there has to be a certain degree of likability. You have to be able to relate to people, to do interviews. You have to be able to relate to people, to get the information for stories that you do when you talk to people. Like, there has to be a certain degree of, wow, this guy is okay. Like, yeah, I don't mind talking to him. Most broadcasters are really cool people. So the next time, and I'm pointing at the microphone.
You are getting like right in the microphone stuff.
Yeah.
It's business.
So the next time you're going to chirp a broadcaster, just think about it. Like, we're all really cool guys. And I don't mean to pump my own tires, but you know what? Yes, I do. Because we're all really cool people. Back off, man.
And you're absolutely right. As you went on about that, I'm thinking to myself, I've been out of broadcasting now for almost 3 years. And yet still, some of my close personal friends, such as yourself, are, broadcasters. Because you're all just good human beings. And as speaking of other broadcasters, Ryan Flaherty from Global here in Saskatoon.
Oh, no, that guy sucks.
Flats is just the worst.
Oh, I hate that guy.
Oh, my God.
See, there's an exception to every rule.
I did color commentary with him. He actually was very nice. Yeah. And he did come to your defense and point out that, hey, they can still go 0-16 from here.
They sure can.
Which is exactly what my father-in-law, Don, thought was going to happen. Well, actually, he thinks 0-18 was going to happen after Zach Collaros went down. We haven't recorded. This is kind of a 2 games in 1 with a preview for the next one all ahead here. But that was the exact text I got from my father-in-law, who watches a lot of football. He said, that's it, we're done after 1 quarter when Zach Collaros goes down in that first game. So I just want to talk very briefly. All the takes have been out there. Everybody's had their soapbox, but the Simone Lawrence hit.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
Do you think, Pat, because I think 2 games is fair. I think the fact he's appealing it, which he can do, is within his rights to do, is fair. And to me, you can't, like, when these guys get suspended in the NHL, you're suspending a multi-millionaire, a multi-million-dollar earning athlete before endorsements, anything like that.
Yeah, look at the money Brad Marchand has lost over the years in suspensions.
Exactly.
And it adds up.
Oh, absolutely. But you're still taking such a small percentage of that. Now, everybody that comes out and says, well, Simone Lawrence, he should have been suspended the whole season, should have been suspended. The problem is in the CFL, you'll never see that kind of long suspension unless it's something unbelievably egregious, because Simone Lawrence makes what? Let's say
he's making 6 figures. I don't know if he's making more than 200 though, is he?
I don't think so. So let's even say let's for argument's sake, for the point I'm going to make, let's say he makes $160,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Or let's to make math easy, let's say 180. CFL players, if you don't know, collect their game checks based on whether or not they're on the active roster. Okay?
Right.
So if these 2 games that you've just taken from Simone Lawrence is going to cost a man that makes 6 figures someplace $20,000 Canadian.
That's a large chunk of his salary.
Exactly. And much like you mentioned, that Brad Marchand's suspensions have also racked it up, but Brad Marchand also has endorsement deals. He's making $6 million a year. You know, you take 100G from a guy making $6 million, it's not the same percentage, it's not the same impact, right? So I all these fans clamoring, and I do think that may have been one of the dirtiest plays I have seen in a very long time in the CFL.
Well, especially because Simone knows Zach personally.
Yeah.
Someone said, like, yeah, we've got pictures of each other hanging up in, I forget if it was Zach or Simone, but I've got a picture of him in my house. Yeah, we're good friends, so they know the situation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not a Zach Caleros fan.
No.
I'm not a Ryder fan.
Yeah.
But on a human level, to hit someone in the head, to knowing, you know, you could let up, but you're like, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
To someone who's had a history of concussion problems,
Yeah.
and I mean, one hit his career could be over. We don't know.
I would almost think that it is the way that the Riders have come out and said it's for his own good.
Yeah.
They're not saying he's concussed. They're not saying it's a neck injury. They're not saying it's an upper body injury. They're saying he's on the 6th game for his own good.
Yeah.
Which is a sign of going, oh.
He wants to come back and play.
Exactly.
Obviously.
But I mean, he played concussed last year, which is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
As a guy this was more on, I know I've opened up in the past in both podcasts I've been on, and what it's like to have post-concussion syndrome for a good chunk of your life. Like, like somebody needs to tell him, Zach,
It's not worth it, dude.
It's not worth it, dude.
Yeah.
Like that money is being paid by an insurance company right now. He's going to collect what he collects while he's on the 6-game injured list. He is getting paid.
Yeah, but to further my point, to do that to someone, another human being, just on a human level like that, I don't really respect that. Now, you talked about appealing, and I mean, it's within his right to do that.
Fair.
I mean, there's a point where you go, well, I disagree with the fact that the appeal is happening because that sends the wrong message for player safety.
Right.
But then you go, well, it is the CFLPA's job to,
Exactly.
because they also represent Simone Lawrence, and Brian Ramsey with the PA I forget exactly what the statement was, but he kind of pointed at, well, there was hang-ups in the CBA negotiations surrounding this kind of thing that the CFL had said no to, and I don't know the quote exactly, but I think that was something he was pointing at. And I did think it was interesting that Randy Ambrosie gets on, makes a statement, kind of taking shots at the PA, and the PA comes back. So you have to wonder what that relationship is right now after that very high tension negotiation with the CBA. When it almost the night before training camp started, it almost didn't happen. Yeah. So there's probably still some ill will there. Yeah. And it showed in those statements that they released.
Oh, certainly. They hate each other.
Yeah, they're not fans, but no. I mean, I get people that say Simone should be suspended for a long, long time.
I understand that.
It's simply not going to happen.
Yes. For all the reasons we've outlined.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And you're right. And we watched, and I remember watching a game the next night. And I forget whom, I think it was Calgary. It would have been Calgary and Ottawa. And I was watching a bit of that game. And the exact same situation happened. An exposed quarterback going down on the slide. And you watch the Calgary defender go for the tackle. He had started his tackle, but was able to move himself in such a way to lessen the impact to the head. He was still flagged, but you could tell, like, that is a guy that was not targeting the head. That is a guy that happened to make contact with the head while trying to get the F out of the way, right? So...
Speaking of stuff like that, did you see Dominique Davis against the Riders is running out of bounds, and Mac Henry kind of stood up and put his shoulder into him a little bit?
The high school bully treatment. Right?
Yeah, that was
stupid.
Is that suspendable, you think?
I think it's...
Or finable?
I think it's finable. Dom Davis got right back up. I think it's stupid. Incredibly stupid, especially because the Riders were back in that game at that point.
Yeah, I don't know why you need to do that.
Because you're stupid.
Well, and it's out of bounds, too.
Right.
So, like, there's so much talk of brotherhood among players, and if someone's out of bounds and you're going to step up and
put a shoulder into his chest when he's not expecting it like that. Come on, man.
Well, and you could tell, like, you know it's bad when you can tell at full speed that's what he did. Like, it reminded me being back in high school, you know, you got the school bully in his leather jacket and trying to walk by, and he does that to you. Like, it's painfully obvious what he did. Like,
There's bullies with leather jackets in your high school?
Listen, Atakokin just got Bon Jovi, like, last week. Like, it's a little behind the times there sometimes.
See, what stage of Bon Jovi? Like, old school Living on a Prayer, or...
No, the new stuff where they find out that it's really not that good.
I don't know much Bon Jovi.
No, it kind of went off a hill after Living on a Prayer.
Anyway, so
you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
But it was such a stupid play, and it was one of those not only momentum flipping plays, but you basically handed Ottawa, like you said, okay, here, go score. You are now in the score zone, to quote Rod Black. I can't believe oh God, I just used a Rod Black line.
Yeah, but you kind of galvanize the other team too when you do that. They all look and go like, well, that's just a clear sign of disrespect. That's not even a hit where like you could have let up and you didn't. That's I don't like that stuff.
It was dumb, and I think that was one of the big negatives in the game, in the loss against Ottawa. The Riders now 0-2 as we record this episode. I didn't like that moment. The defense, although I was actually on your TV station. I was on CTV Morning Live with my very good friend Jeremy Dodge. Dodger. Again, his voice, people, if you're listening to this, I know Dodge listens to this podcast, so he's going to laugh. I've had people ask me, is Jeremy Dodge's voice fake? It is not. That is how the man talks. It is the most sultry, erotic baritone you could ever come up with in your life.
Like Barry White.
Think like... White Barry White, like that man reads
White Barry White,
right? Something like that.
You know what? We should try to get Jeremy to do something. Sing something like that for the Christmas party one year. That'd be great.
Or Chocolate Rain.
Yeah,
he would. You get enough. Listen, I've known Dodge a long time. You get some Mongolian death juice in him, and he'll do anything. Okay, I know we're on the side now.
Okay, anyway,
all right,
back to the CFL.
Back to the CFL, and if you want to know about Mongolian death juice, I will tell you a story another time.
I don't want to know about it. I don't.
I'll tell you after we're done recording.
Okay.
But back to the CFL, yes, I thought the Riders' defense, they were not good.
No.
Against Ottawa. You had a chance against, although... You're right. Dom Davis has exceeded expectations.
He was great. He was really flat out fantastic.
Yes. But the defense, I didn't think they did a good enough job of maybe forcing him a little bit. And that's, again, I made this point on Morning Live. The CFL preseason, when you don't play anybody for more than a half, what do you expect?
Which player are you referring to specifically? Because
the entire Rider defense.
Well, when I hear didn't play and maybe isn't performing the way he should, I automatically think Micah Johnson. Because even in training camp, there were drills he wasn't taking part in.
Yeah.
And I understand that because, Charleston Hughes, players like that, even William Powell, running back, they get fewer reps in training camp because why burn them out before the season even starts?
Exactly, which I love. I love that Craig Dickinson is doing that compared to the way Chris Jones ran his Madhouse.
But Micah Johnson, where you been, man?
Mm-hmm.
You haven't done anything in the first 2 games. And that's how, for those who don't know, that's the start of the defense. They get the pressure on the quarterback. So either you get the pressure and you get the sack, you get the pressure and you get a hurried throw, and that allows talented defensive backs or linebackers to potentially step up and be a ball hawk, grab that ball. Or you get pressure and, they make a release valve play and they don't get a big gain. Yeah. But it all starts with the front four.
Yeah.
And that's what the Riders are counting on. I mean, we talked about how they had the best front four in the entire league with Hughes and A.C. Leonard on one end and then Micah Johnson and Zach Evans and then rotating guys through. I mean, man, the depth they got on that D-line. And those guys haven't done... Oh, a stroller just rolled into the backyard.
Well, then.
That surprised me. They haven't been nearly as good as we thought they were going to be so far to start the season. And I'm not a finger pointer because I guarantee you a lot of players that listen to this will go, hey man, you ever laced up the cleats before?
Right.
And I really despise that argument,
Yes.
but no, at the professional level, I have never laced up the cleats before.
No, you're right.
But you can still have an opinion on who is playing well and who is not just by the eye test, even if you've never played professional football, right?
No, neither of us have ever played football at any kind of high level. But you're right, we watch a shit ton of football. It is literally your job to watch and digest sports.
But you don't even have to be a concierge of football.
I like that.
You don't have to be an aficionado of football to understand that the players that get paid the most and the players that are hyped as the best need to be the best. And so far, the Riders' defense, some of them have not been anywhere close to that.
To what they need to be and what we expect of them. I'm of the mindset that there is too much talent on that Riders defense for them to continue to look that shitty. I am.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is going to be their entire season, but
God.
Man, this is a rough start.
Oh, yeah, no, it was not a good start, and I do think it goes back to preseason, and that is the beauty of the CFL, although I think the West is hyper-competitive this year, and you're going to have a harder time, but the BC 0-2 start also helps the Riders out tremendously in my eyes, but...
Did you see the Eskimos get after Mike Riley the other day?
Oh, God.
How many sacks did they have on him? Like 9 or 7 or something like that?
And that's how, and again, back to your point, that's how a front four should play.
Yeah.
Like, Mike Riley, I believe, and Fake Gainer on Twitter has had some great jokes about it. He just tweeted out the other day, Mike Riley just got tackled at the Safeway, picking up a bag of chips,
Yeah.
Mike Riley just got... for the past 3 days he's been tweeting, Mike Riley just got tackled again.
I mean, the guy with Brian Burnham and Deron Carter as receivers, they're not getting the ball. And that's the way, as you mentioned it, that's the way a defensive front should function.
Yeah.
You pressure that quarterback.
Yeah.
You make life miserable for the quarterback. And a guy who's thrown for over 5,000 yards for, 3 straight years now?
3 straight years, yeah.
3 straight years. He had a terrible game, at least in the later stages. They look good early, but
they look
that
good
Eskimos defense stepped it up.
Yeah. I think, and we're talking about quarterbacks, and I have to give Joel a ton of credit, because I know the whole Riders season, and again, this goes back to the text my father-in-law sent me about the season being over and Zach Collaros went down. And Joel said it on this podcast. And I believe he said it, maybe after the second, it might have been after the first preseason game, that Joel said that Cody Fajardo would be this team's starting quarterback by the end of the year no matter what happens. And then I made a joke about Zach Collaros getting injured, and lo and behold, here we are.
3 plays in.
3 plays in, and he's done. Possibly for the season. Now, what I've watched, I know people are wondering, why didn't he look that good against Hamilton in the first game? Again, I've never played at the professional level, but I can tell you as a guy that's been a goalie a good chunk of my life, your mindset when you're starting, your mindset when you're thrown in under the fire, completely different. You could tell in this game against Ottawa, Stephen McAdoo was pushing the ball deep because he knew Fajardo doesn't have a noodle arm. He's
got a good arm.
He's got a good arm, and there was a couple of throws, and you and I were both talking before recording this. There were several throws that Cody Fajardo was making that I was wondering to myself as watching, is this a flash in a pan? Is this just one really good game for a guy against maybe not the best defense in the league? But
Ottawa's got a good defense, though.
They do have a good defense, and then you start looking at the throws he was making. He was making narrow window throws, perfect timing, hitting guys in the numbers, and for his first start, I was floored that this was his first start in the CFL, because he's kind of been around for a while.
I got his numbers here. 4 games played 2016, 5 in 2017, 4 just last year. And it's kind of funny. He's got 51 attempts this year, and in the past 3 seasons combined, he has 68.
Wow.
So he's chucking that ball.
He is, and he's gone from being a mop-up guy to being the guy in Saskatchewan. And again, I'll give Joel credit, who said he was going to be the starter. Cody Fajardo, to me, Pat, looked like a CFL starting quarterback in this game against Ottawa. Let's we know the defense sucked. We know the special teams wasn't great. Let's focus on the positive right now, and I think that was Cody Fajardo. I think the Riders, there was talk of Harker getting some plays and Fajardo splitting, but Fajardo basically just grabbed the bull by the horns and went with it. And there was a couple throws, especially on that last drive, or late in the game, pardon me, where he threw into some tight zone defense.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times, he looked like a veteran CFL quarterback, and to me, That's going to be crucial to the Riders' success, and I think he will keep it up. I think he's starting quarterback material.
Yeah, we talked about attitude, and the play that stood out to me was at the end of the first half where Ottawa scored. I forget what the score was, but they went up by at least 2 possessions, maybe 3. I forget what it was. So they score, and then there's less than a minute to go.
Yeah.
And it takes moxie for a quarterback. Some will just let the clock run out.
Yeah.
But Fajardo, it was a throw to Shaq Evans, right in the corner of the end zone. And it was a great throw.
Yeah.
But, to have the balls to make the throw and the confidence and the moxie and just to go for it, you don't often see that response when there's that little time to go in a half.
Yeah.
That stood out to me from Cody Fajardo.
Well, and you've watched more of Cody Fajardo than I have.
Not much more.
But I didn't make it to training camp this year. So you got to watch him a bit in camp. I didn't make it to the green and white day because I was working. So you got to watch him in the green and white day where I was getting texts from friends saying he looks good. You have access to the loaf of bread from the top of the stadium quality highlights from the preseason games that, teams don't stream or put a lot of production value into.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, from what you've seen of Cody Fajardo dating back to camp, do you think, like Joel, that he's got the chops? That he's got the potential?
His track record wouldn't suggest that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And, hang on a sec. Well, how old is Cody Fajardo? Is this just coming? He's 27. Track record in pro. I think in 2009 I saw it said on the broadcast that he was top high school quarterback in the state of California.
Right.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out of California.
That's true.
So he's shown he can be the best.
Yeah, right.
He's shown he can be good. But it's sure going to take more than one game to demonstrate to me that you are now a starting CFL quarterback. And any defensive player listening right now that actually plays in the CFL, I hope that you agree with me. It's not easy to be a good CFL quarterback. It's not an easy league to excel in.
No.
So for someone to come in and have one good game, one really good game, but one good game, and to all of a sudden be put up on a pedestal as a starter, I don't think is fair. He's going to have to demonstrate that he can do it. But I will say, in the past, when we've seen the Riders come up to Saskatoon for training camp, you can tell there's a difference between the starting quarterback, the second string quarterback, and then the jobbers that come in to take reps.
Yeah.
When Darian Durant was here, you could tell without even looking at the player who threw that ball.
Oh yeah, it was so easy.
And the past 2 years in training camp, you haven't really been able to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if that's just because Zach Collaros isn't throwing the ball like he used to.
Fair.
Or if it's because maybe the gap between a guy like Fajardo and a starting quarterback like Zach Collaros isn't really that much. So I don't know which way to look at it. Is Zach Collaros down there with Cody Fajardo in like a 1B area? Mm-hmm. Or is Collaros a 1A and Fajardo is right there at his heels? It wasn't really evident.
Yeah.
And especially the way that Fajardo played in Hamilton. And you mentioned there's a different mindset, obviously, but let's also see for some teams to start game planning around Cody Fajardo, game planning against him, and then see him have success for like an extended period of time. That's when he can prove to me that he'll be a starting quarterback. But as of right now, I'm going to say no.
And I'm going to be oddly optimistic, which is rare for me.
Okay.
To just say, I think the guy showed that he's your typical guy that's been sitting. Look at the guys he's had to learn from. He was in BC with Travis Lulay, who, if injuries had not robbed him of a longer career, we'd be talking about him in arguments as, maybe best quarterback of the past decade.
Yeah.
Like that.
He was also in Oakland with Derek Carr.
Yes.
Which I asked him about that, and he said Derek's a great guy, and I was like, would you rather be there with John Gruden right now? And he just kind of laughed.
Nobody wants to be there with John Gruden.
Cody Fajardo, great guy.
Yeah.
He took time he didn't have to. Whenever there's interview requests, and you know this, in a training camp, you can only do one at a time, so some players have to wait. And Fajardo, every single day, would take a knee and sit there and wait until every single interview was done. Even Craig Dickinson, the head coach, and that's a lengthy scrum.
That's a 15-minute scrum.
Sometimes, at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And Fajardo would sit there and wait until everyone was done, and then when everyone else went in, he would sit there and do his interviews, and he was thoughtful, and he was nice, and he was outgoing. Like, you could tell he didn't mind talking, he wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Now, part of it was you could see him listening to every single thing that was said.
Yeah.
So he's picking up on it. But I mean, the other half is he's just a great guy.
Yeah.
It seems like a really nice guy. I would like to see him succeed because, again, as you know, when you start covering sports, you kind of stop cheering for teams and you more cheer for players.
Yes, and that is so true.
And Cody Fajardo, man, as a person, I want to cheer for that guy.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't know if he is a starting quarterback.
Well, I think, between Derek Carr and Travis Lulay and Ricky Ray, he's probably picked up some shit from those guys. Now,
Oh, yeah.
Now, the big thing, too, with Fajardo and his abilities, I've watched a lot of allegedly ready CFL quarterbacks play a lot of games for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Until there was basically there was Kahari Jones, Kevin Glenn, nobody Matt Nichols.
No, Buck Pierce.
Oh, Buck Pierce. Yes.
Bucky.
When he was healthy, yes.
When he was healthy, he was not bad.
He was good. He was good when he was healthy. But the problem is I've watched a lot of guys come in and play a lot of games and be really, really bad and not make the throws that Fajardo could and did make. So that's why I am so high on him, because I have been tortured with so many shitty quarterbacks being a Winnipeg Blue Bomber fan over the years. So that's just that is me strictly on an eye test. I'm not a coach. I'm not an OC. I'm a guy with a decent set of pipes that has a back deck that does a podcast, right? Yeah. I mean...
Well, the funny thing about professional athletes, they all have the ability to make the play. Mm-hmm. It's not always... For hockey, it's not always Sidney Crosby that makes the highlight of the night. Sometimes it's a third-line guy who gets the puck and dangles and scores. They all have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
Every single one of them was the best player on their team every single year growing up. Even the grinders. They get, and it's the same as football. Every quarterback has the ability to make the throw. Can they do it every time, or at least consistently enough?
Right.
That's what sets it apart, and that's what I'm saying. I'm looking for from a starting quarterback is do it consistently.
Right, and we're going to get that chance to see it coming up this weekend. It is home opener weekend.
Oh, Toronto's in town.
Toronto is in town. Which, speaking of bad football,
oh man, I felt bad for them at the end.
Like you've seen the Simpsons meme. The stop, he's already dead.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking about that in that ball game. Like, we know Hamilton is going to be the class of the East Division.
Mazzoli looks good.
Mazzoli looks really good.
And what's funny is I can remember him as a second stringer in Edmonton, like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And he had the happiest feet ever. If he didn't see anything within the first 2 seconds, he would tuck and run.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy's going nowhere.
Yeah.
And now look at him. Man.
He looks like... He's in the conversation right now for perhaps best quarterback in the CFL. So you're coming into your home opener. You're 0-2. Cody Fajardo has a full week to prepare for this start. The Riders are about to get into a tough portion of their schedule. I know it's early, but do they need to win this game?
The Riders?
The Riders, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's early and the season doesn't start till Labor Day, but if you can't beat, I've watched a lot of football, and you've been to a lot of Saskatoon Hilltops games, and it's a common theme, the Saskatoon Hilltops just beating the shit out of some other team.
Pretty badly.
To the point that, we had a rule when I did play-by-play with Chris Hengenbraun, my color guy. We called the game straight up for a half, and then we got silly. We'd actually try to just entertain people because the score was that lopsided. To me, the Toronto Argonauts last week looked like one of those teams that the Hilltops regularly took out behind the woodshed and beat to a bloody pulp.
Yeah, you know what's funny? You talk about Simpsons memes. Do you remember when Homer was a football coach and he used that little like thing where it kind of vibrates and the players move around?
Yes.
And it was like, all right, you go that way, you spin in a circle, Nelson, like you. And that was kind of what the Argonauts looked like.
Yeah, and there's no Nelson coming for the Toronto Argonauts, so
Yeah, they didn't look good.
Now it's funny though that and this is the funny thing with the CFL. This is the thing that I love about this league. They can legitimately look like the Edmonton Wildcats one week, and then come out and look like a competent football team. I mean, it was ugly. But
I'm just trying to look at some stats here to salvage any positives. McLeod Bethel-Thompson came in and threw a touchdown.
Yay!
Armani Edwards had 73 yards on only 4 catches. He had a touchdown. You know, the defense, they allowed 64 points, so there's that. Well, I guess a couple were on picks. So.
A couple were on picks, you're right. But still, you've got a team that is lost. You've got a team that did not look good. You've got a team that looks like something that's coached by Homer Simpson. Like, there's not a lot going on for it.
Yeah, James Wilder had 12 yards rushing on 6 carries.
Yikes.
Yeah, you expect more from a guy that, and not to call out James Wilder Jr., but I think he was on with Michael Landsberg on TSN earlier this week.
Yeah.
And they were talking about Simone Lawrence.
Yeah.
And JWJ said, "Oh, I want a piece of Simone Lawrence. I'm glad he's playing."
Yeah.
And it was like, you bit off more than you could chew, bud. Because you did not have a good game.
Now, what do we go into full panic mode? Do we, is my father-in-law's text correct that the season may be done if they come out, lose to Toronto, fall to 0-3 against an Argos team that, again, looked atrocious?
Yeah, if you lose to this Argos team, then you never want to press panic buttons this early in the season, but a team that just got destroyed, dismantled.
In their first game of the season, too.
By a really good team.
Yeah.
But you gotta beat that team.
Well, especially, too, you've known, like, home opener, like first games of the season to me are generally, when minus some rust and stuff, you can't, like, to me, in the opening game of a season for any sport, any team, you're going to see the talent shine. Because both teams have had an entire offseason to prep and game plan for this game. You've had months to game plan for it. So to me, the first couple weeks of the season, you see results based on talent. And Hamilton played a week before. Toronto did not. Toronto had all the time in the world to go ahead and prepare for this game. And they were still that terrible.
Yeah, they were bad.
So if they make the Riders bleed their own blood, is there like a mini panic button? Is there a adjustment button?
Yeah, there is. It's when you start 0-3. There is that you can fall back on. Well, we didn't have our starting quarterback in Zach Collaros. There's always that fallback.
But he's not that good.
And I'm not saying that's a great fallback,
right.
But some people can say, Zach's out, so Cody Fajardo, he had a better game last week than Zach Collaros has had since 2015, basically.
Basically, yeah, yeah. And I know some guys are high on Collaros, and I won't disagree with them because, again, new play-by-play voice of the writer Derek Taylor was high on Collaros. And he knows way more than I could ever know.
He knows a lot about football. I wasn't high on Collaros, but I was glass half full with Collaros.
Right.
And that's why my prediction for the Riders was
so
as high as it
yeah.
was. I said if he can just manage games and not muck it up, that defense will just win games for them.
Right.
Now, I look pretty stupid because none of that has happened. I think Toronto has to be where they right the ship because, as you mentioned, the schedule does not get easy after that. If they lose to Toronto, they go 0-3. Then they're at home to Calgary.
Yikes.
Then they're at home to BC. Then they're on the road against BC, and then they're at home to Hamilton. And that's
a tough stretch of
4. That's 4 games against the 3 best quarterbacks in the league, save Trevor Harris, you can say.
Yeah.
You got Bo Levi, you got Mike Riley, and you got Jeremiah Mazzoli, who can pick you apart if you let them.
Well, and that BC, I always find that BC road trip, and maybe it's just because it's late for me to watch. Teams always seem to just be a little off, especially when they travel to BC.
I think it's playing in a dome.
I think it's the dome. I think it's the time schedule. It's a lot of things.
It's eating sushi out in Vancouver,
right? Maybe they go to bad sushi. That's it. Maybe they come by sushi delivery. Boom! It's poison, and that's what happens, right? Now, we did CFL-wide predictions here as we come near the end of this podcast here, Pat.
Are we at the end?
We're at about 40 minutes, and the advice of people that I respect a lot, they've told me, don't go over 45.
Right. Yeah, we're starting to get boring. People are starting to tune out.
Exactly. No, they probably are. But do the Riders right the ship against Toronto?
Do you want me to make the bold prediction? I know that's where they have to.
Are they, me asking you, do they beat Toronto in the home opener?
Well, I have a really good track record of predictions so far with the CFL.
Oh, God, so... you are on you are almost as bad as me with the Johnny Manziel prediction by this point.
Yeah, I might even be worse.
Nothing's as bad as that tape.
I'll freely admit it. I have not been on the money in my predictions so far. Toronto's going to be pissed after getting embarrassed.
Absolutely.
Do they have... James Franklin, is he a starting quarterback?
No.
He could be. Is McLeod Bethel-Thompson a starting quarterback? It doesn't all fall on the quarterback, but, I gotta say Saskatchewan wins this one.
Yeah.
Because if Toronto is upset and embarrassed that they lost in the fashion they did in their home opener, Saskatchewan is as upset that they're 0-2.
Yes.
Especially with the personnel they have.
I think I'm with you. I think the Riders win. I think it's close enough though to be scary. That I think we're going to come out. I think the Riders are going to be 1-2 by the next time you and I talk about football, about the Riders.
Oh, Joel's coming back. I'm not on the next podcast, am I?
Oh no, that was going to be my next lead in to say, if you want to take this platform for the next 5 minutes, and you do literally anchor an entire newscast 5 days a week, but
I don't do it very well.
That's that's up for debate. I love what you do. I think the Riders win. I think it's close enough that we come out. It's 1-2. There's some optimism, but there's a whole lot of question marks.
And it's the only game on Canada Day this year. It's kind of surprising. I guess it is a Monday.
Yeah, it's enough that, well, at the very least, that means I'll have a solid day buzz on watching the game. So.
Yeah, but you know what the good part is? There's football Thursday,
yes.
Edmonton-Winnipeg. Ooh, that should be good. Friday, Montreal-Hamilton.
Friday night football tonight.
Exactly. That should be another shit kicking. It should be. It could be.
You're not wrong.
It's shaping up to be. BC Calgary on Saturday. That could be good. And Toronto Saskatchewan. Yeah, it's a pretty good looking week of football.
So we are excited for the week of football. Pat Mackay, thank you for filling the past 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
The floor is yours to end the program.
Oh boy, this is a lot of pressure. I'm really good at. Should I say? The first thing that I thought of was to sing a tune. I'm not going to do that. It's been real. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
I love how intimately, when you're speaking to the people, you look at the recorder.
And I lean in real close and rub my hands together.
And you give it sex eyes. It's fantastic, and I love it.
Is it my bedroom eyes?
Yeah, it is your bedroom eyes. Woo, I am pre-seduced over here.
Oh, my gosh. Well, in that case, let's wrap this thing up. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun. Sometimes it's kind of nice to just talk about football without a filter.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes. I've kind of filtered myself a little bit, because if I completely take the filter off, sometimes I get a little bit self-conscious afterwards. I'm like, what did I just say? Oh, people are actually going to listen to this. No, it's been a lot of fun, and I will gladly come back if you'll have me, and if your listeners don't flood your inbox and Joel's inbox with emails of, oh God, never again with this guy. No, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, again, I am usually the weakest link in this podcast, so I'm glad to have you on board, buddy, and as long as Joel goes gallivanting across the country or across the world some more, we'll have you back.
Right on.
3 Down Nation Greencast. Listen, drink Pile of Bones. Have a good night.
Yeah, we didn't.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.